Good Monday morning, or say good Monday noon. Hot dang, man. Hey, what day is it today? An Ice Age TV Ford Raptor day, right? You're probably thinking, what's going on today, right? I'm like, yeah, what is going on today in the Ford Raptor truck I just got? You know, and I think to myself, Jesus Christ, this is hard to believe that for me, this is my third Raptor. I mean, I know some people, it's like, what is wrong with you, right? Sure, some people are like, what is wrong with you? Yeah, I know. What the hell is wrong with me? Yeah, I get it, man. I get it. I mean, the car fanatic, addict, maniac, crazy man. Yeah. But for the record, I did sell 6 cars last week and I only bought 2 back. So come on, I'm doing all right, right? But you know, here's what I'm thinking. Holy crap. You guys have no idea. If you looked at my property 5 years ago, it would have been all Mopars. It would have been all Ram trucks, Jeep vehicles, Dodge Challenger, Dodge Charger, Ram 1500, Ram 2500, Ram 3500, the Hellcats, and what else did I have? Oh, the Jeep Grand Cherokees, and had 2 of those, and I had the Jeep Wranglers, and so I had a collection of all I really had was Mopar stuff, and I don't know, I get this all backwards here. I don't know what's going on here, but my gate isn't opening. So if you're seeing me kind of look funny right now, it's the gate challenge. Which, oh my gosh, hold on here. Challenge is getting out of my property. It's a freaking project. You know what? People might say, why is your property gated? And, just never any packages. If you own a business out of your house, it just doesn't end, man. Yeah. So anyways, what the hell was I talking about, right? Yeah, so here's the thing. This is what's crazy. The Ford Raptor changed my whole position on Ford. And don't get me wrong, I owned a 2000 Ford F350 extended cab, V10 setup, dually. I think it was a 2000, 2001. It wasn't bad. It was pretty nice. I liked it. And, had terrible turning, radius. And then I owned a 2006 Ford F450 back at that time, where they made it into a dually. They weren't making the dually F450 chassis. There was an aftermarket thing, and then I had an F550 or F650 rollback. No, I had an F550 rollback and F650 rollback. So that was for my lawn and garden equipment business that went kaput. Yeah. 2007, I started a lawn and garden equipment business that totally went broke by 2008. Yeah, that's a whole other freaking story. I'd spend the next hour, I'd spend all day talking about how that fiasco happened in my life. But anyways, the reason I'm bringing up the Ford Raptor is in December, was it December of 2017? November 2017, I think it was November of 2017, I think, that I bought my first Ford Raptor. And I went to Ted Britt Ford of Chantilly, Virginia, and I think they were wanting like 10 grand over. And I think I finagled a deal. I can't remember if I got it for 5 grand over or maybe MSRP. I can't really remember, but I didn't pay 10 grand over. So, and that was actually a leased vehicle. It was a Ford lease program, which was a phenomenal program. So I got a white one right off the showroom floor. Beautiful. Oh my gosh. Once I got that F-150 Raptor, it was the second generation Raptor with the V6 twin turbo, which a lot of people were so taken back, because the first generation was the V8 motor, and the second generation disappointed a lot of people. They wanted that V8 throaty, noise. So anyways, so I got that truck and I just fell in love with that truck. That was one of the, sincerely, that was one of my first trucks that I have to say was the baddest ass factory truck built ever in my lifetime. And I've owned so many trucks, and I mean, I just know truck. So I just became in love with that truck. But what it did, it then opened my eyes up to the other Ford product line, which turned into it being the F250. So I ended up buying an F250 King Ranch. And then I ended up buying a Ford Ford F450 that like, I think I got the F-450 and then I got the F-250. It's kind of hard, me buying cars all the time. You can, how many cars did I sell last week? Which ones did I get? I mean, oh my gosh, it's just beyond. Can you remember all this stuff? So what I'm trying to tell you is my driveway in 2017 was all Mopar. It was all Jeep, Ram, Dodge products. And in the Ford Raptor changed all that, because if you would take a picture of my driveway a year later, it was all Ford. All the Mopars, as far as the Ram, product goes, that all disappeared. And then over time, the Jeep Grand Cherokees disappeared, and then the Jeep Wranglers kind of stuck around quite a while. So Jeep Wranglers and my Dodge Challenger and Hellcat, or my Dodge Challenger Charger, those stuck around. And it really wasn't until 2018, 19, I'd say late 18, early 19, whatever, I started buying some Mustangs. So then all of a sudden I sold my 2 Hellcats, but then down the road I bought back 2 Hellcats. Yeah, right. But here's the thing, my whole loyalty to the Dodge, Ram, Jeep, Mopar family, it totally went away because of the Ford Raptor, which just totally converted me to Ford. And I'm going to tell you, growing up, I was not a Ford person. I liked the look of the Ford, but I didn't trust it. I just didn't think it was as good as the Chevy or the Ram or the Mopar product. That's kind of where I was. So I just wasn't excited about that product. But here it is, so many years later, and what do I have? All I have now, all I have left is a Toyota 4Runner. So everything else is, Ford. Oh my gosh. So yeah, it's the Ford Raptor day. So what I got to thinking to myself was, 2017, I bought my first white Raptor. And then it was a leased product. And actually I got good money on it, and I turned it back in about a year and a half later, about 2 years later. In all sincereness, what happened, the Ford Raptor got me into major trouble. I mean, it's a sad story. It's a really sad story. My father-in-law, just a really great guy, incredibly successful, incredibly disciplined, former Vietnam helicopter pilot. And to this day, he probably got the Agent Orange, I think, got him. Very sad. He retired in 2013. And, damn, if August of 2017, he's diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. And if you saw my father-in-law, he was really well known, and he was a big defense contractor. He helped, start a few of the businesses in this D.C. area, and well known, and just a really disciplined individual. And just a great story of his life, and just a great guy. And he was my golfing buddy, my friend, and just so, just so sad that we lost him to stage 4 pancreatic cancer. He got it in August. He was diagnosed late in August. He was then, sadly passed on December 29th, 2017. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is because this goes back to my Ford Raptor. And since he lives down in Tennessee, and I live up here in Virginia, it's about a 6-hour drive down 81, where I go back and forth to my in-laws' house. And so when I pick up the Ford Raptor, these Ford Raptors are fast. I mean, they're not going to beat the Ram TRX, but just as a truck in general, it's a very fast vehicle. It gets down the road, no problem. And so, you can just rock and roll in this thing down the highways. It's just phenomenal. Well, here's the sad story. And I tell you what, I am such a believer in faith. I can only hope people who watch my channel have God in their life. And, here's the thing. I am not a person that picks and chooses, on what you think versus what I think. That's a separation of us. I just like to share information. And, if you're not a godly person, okay, I'm, all right. That's your life. It's not my life. I'm not here to preach, to tell people how to live their life. That's the last thing I want to do. I want to share my life's experiences, and hopefully those radiate back to you that can give you can I kind of get that. I understand. I can relate with that. Or yeah, wow. So, back to my father-in-law. Oh my gosh, just such a sad time. And what happened is, my father-in-law passed, and we went down. We've been back and forth to Tennessee throughout that whole fall. My wife lived down there for close to 2 months to help her mother, and it's just a very challenging time. And anybody here watching my YouTube channel that's lost anybody to it, sickness, especially somebody that's young, and in today's world, if you're 67 years old, that's still rather young in this, in our life. We have so much technology. And so, just a sad story to lose my father-in-law at 71 years old, he looked younger than me. If you saw pictures of him, you'd be like, wow, that guy was 7 years old. No way. That guy was like in his 50s. Yeah, I'm not lying. I go golfing with him. Oh my gosh, that guy could borderline outdo me. I mean, just phenomenal, great shape. And so, anyways, I'm going back to my Raptor, my first Raptor I bought. And this is where I went back to, I believe in faith, and I've had it happen a few times. I've lost some very close people in my life, and then something's happened very shortly after they've died where I feel like their presence was there. I just feel like their presence was there. So in January of 2018, I'm coming back of 81. My brain is mush. My brain is so much mush. My daughter came into my room when my father-in-law had passed, and I literally, my daughter was like, what happened? Because she was down with us in Tennessee, and he was right on the edge of living or not living, and so, sadly, I had to tell my daughter that, her grandfather had passed, and my brain was such mush, I said that my father had passed. I mean, so my daughter was like a double whammy hit, because she's now thinking not only did she lose one grandfather, but she's lost two grandfathers. So this was like, whoa, my daughter totally like wow. So that's just how much my brain was mush. And why am I saying this? Well, I'm trying to radiate back to you that when I got on Route 81 to head back home, that Route 81 is the worst. It is so many it's a 2-lane road. It's archaic. It's a 2-lane road most of the highway. Sure, there's 3 and 4 lane parts, but so it's the good old tractor trailers get in front of you, or whatever. The road gets locked down, so the left-hand lane is totally locked down by some driver that's not going 70 miles an hour. It's a 70-mile-an-hour road. They're doing like 60, 65, and it's a pack of us like 10. I'm like number 10 of the pack. And what's really interesting is, in like 2015 or 16, the state of Virginia literally passed a law that if you drive below the speed limit, you can get a ticket, where a police officer can literally pull you over for holding up traffic and going below the speed ticket. Okay, so now I'm going down 81, and I live the roads, and I keep my eyes abreast of what's going on, and I see this Chevrolet Caprice at least a quarter mile back in my rearview mirror, and the car is coming down the road, and I can see the lights bouncing up and down, the headlights, because it's those crappy suspension Chevy Caprice vehicles, and so I know it's undercover cops. So now we're miles and miles and miles. This undercover cop is on my tail, tailing me borderline, right behind me. And finally, we go to a 3-lane, breakup in the 81, and people ahead of me start busting out right-hand lane to get around this person holding up all the traffic in left-hand lane. And so as I witnessed, these cars busting out and going to get around this guy, which when somebody's doing 60, 65, you're going to have to hit 70, 75 to get around them. All right? Which that's not a problem. Yeah, right. Well, so now I bust out, and I'm in this Raptor going up a hill, and I nail it, and all of a sudden the lights are on behind me. I'm like, oh my God. I mean, I am like, oh my God. I knew there was a state boy behind me, but my brain's such a mush from my father-in-law passing away. I just can't think. And so now I get pulled over, and the cop clocked me at this vehicle. I'm just telling you, these Raptors, it just cracks me up how people drive these other cars like, oh, the Raptor's slow. All right, yeah, it's slow. It can hit 100 miles an hour pretty quick. Yeah, how do I know that? Yeah, I wonder how I know that. I wonder how I know I now have a court date with the state of Virginia in Lexington, Virginia, on a reckless driving ticket because I've gone over the speed limit from the posted speed limit. I've been busted, and I'm just like, and so the police officer, looks at me, and I told him what happened, and doesn't matter. Oh, well, your mother dropped dead 5 seconds ago? Whatever, here's your ticket, dude. So, that doesn't work in court. Sorry, anybody out there. They don't base the decisions on your hardships there with that story. Yeah, did I think that would maybe work? Yeah, it doesn't happen. So, he's like, sorry, I had to meet you this way. Hey, and he goes, man, this is a really badass truck. This thing hauls ass. He said that. He's like, I couldn't get over how you walked away from me in my cruiser. Yeah, he said that. But, oh, by the way, you have a court date now for a reckless driving ticket. You have to go and show up in appearance. And so now I start doing some research on reckless driving ticket. Holy crap, this is radical. This could be suspension, loss of license. I mean, this is the state of Virginia. Oh, my gosh. Oh, between taking care of business and having conversations, yeah, what the heck, right? Yeah, so, oh, my gosh. So, yeah, now being told on the side of 81 by a state Virginia policeman in Lexington, Virginia, that I've got a reckless driving ticket and I've got challenges. So I'm just like, I am just so, frustrated at all this going on. And so I decide to make a phone call to a lawyer, and sure enough, a lawyer is like, oh yeah, but you know what I do? I look for the lawyer that lives next to the courthouse. So here's a little trick for anybody out there that gets themselves in legal trouble. It's all about who you know, not what you know. I mean, just, that's what it's all about in life. And if you don't believe that, then all right, good luck. So sure enough, I did my research, and I found a guy located right next to the courthouse. So you may be like, well, what's the big deal with that? Well, okay. If you got a lawyer that's been next to the courthouse for 20, 30 years, do you think he probably knows the judge personally? Do you think he probably knows the magistrate, personally? Do you think he kind of knows the ins and the outs of that courthouse? Probably. Yeah, let me just share something with you. That can be huge. That can be huge. Okay? So you find a lawyer that's 100 miles away from your court case. Yeah, I'm not saying to you that it makes a difference of you being, charged whatever you've done wrong. But I'm going to tell you what, I would say the odds for you maybe getting a better end decision maybe to your advantage, maybe. Yeah, so there's a lot to that story that I'm just not going to get into about it. But the good news is, yeah, I beat that. I beat that thing, and I just can't, I'm just not going to share all this personal information of what I did. But what I just kind of told you right there was a lot of information to maybe help you. So, and some other of my friends too that I know gave me some ideas that I'm not to disclose. So yeah, I beat that. It's a criminal conviction if you're charged. So it's a public record that I have a criminal conviction. Okay, yikes. So technically, have you ever been charged with a criminal, activity? It's one thing, but were you convicted of it is another thing. That's another thing that, if I ever went and had to testify, I've ever had a criminal charge, yes. Was I convicted? No. I mean, that's true. And if I ever went to court and had to testify for somebody else and they asked me a question, I have to let them know I had a criminal charge against me. Yes, that's how radical is the state of Virginia. It's a criminal charge. And it goes against your driving record. And once again, it goes worse. It goes against you worse than a DUI. Yes, all right. So here's the thing. So when I had that happen, boy, this Raptor truck is so fast and gets down the road so easily that I had to let it go. I let it go. I was like, you know what? I'm selling it. And I could. I had a lease on it, and I leased it for about 1.5 years. And these things keep such incredible value that they bought out the lease plus some. In all reality, I got some money out of the deal, which that's factual. So really cool. So I let go of my first, Raptor, and but I was saying earlier about godly person, faith, the presence of someone you've lost in life, and it's happened 2 times to me now. So what happened there is, I have the Hellcats and all these fast cars, and it's very easy to do extremely high speeds in these cars. And I tell people, anytime you buy these high-performance cars, the smartest thing you do is write a letter to the state that you live in. You mail your copy of your license in and say, I hereby, relinquish my license knowing how bad I'm going to be, hoping this is forgiveness for my actions of the future. I'm not lying to you. That's how it plays out. It gets crazy, and you can get yourself in a lot of trouble. So the reason I'm bringing this, the presence of somebody that you lost is still in your life. I'm not lying to you in my Hellcats. I'm not going to even disclose the speeds I would hit in those cars. Like on Route 95. These are open highway speeds. Just crazy speeds. And I think to myself, so in the state of Virginia, the way the law works, once you hit 90 miles an hour, for every mile an hour over is jail. So if you're in the state of Virginia, if you get caught doing 120 miles an hour, you will go to jail for 30 days. And if you think I'm making this up, if the judge is pretty hard on you, you're going to go to jail for 30 days. If you get caught doing 150 miles an hour, wow, 150? Who would do 150 miles an hour in a Hellcat? Who would do that, right? So you get caught doing that, that's 60 days of jail plus loss of license, revoke of license. It's radical. It's radical. So what I'm trying to, convey to you is after that Raptor experience, it opened my eyes up big time. The state of Virginia, if you get caught speeding, and other states have laws too, but the state of Virginia is one of the tougher states. I'm not saying other ones are easier, but they're pretty, tough here. And it just opened my eyes up that, wow, the crazy driving, it's over. And to the point that year, this is now the year of 2018. 2018, I just I got to take a time out. I'm going to get myself in a lot of trouble. And part of me is like, my father-in-law's presence was there with me because I just really feel like he opened my eyes up. I think that when I was leaving his funeral and heading home, he knows that I'm an aggressive driver when it comes to these fast cars. And he just knows the stories I've told him. And I'm sure that was him tapping my shoulder going, you can't do that anymore. You have to stop. You're going to get yourself in a lot of trouble. I truly believe that. I truly believe my father-in-law saved me from potentially the future of me just being in really, I've gone up and down the 81 in my Hellcats like crazy. So yeah, so I really think that my father-in-law was there, and I think in the end, he actually helped me. I really do. I think he was looking over me. And I had another incident years ago, but that's just, whatever. So anyways, that was with somebody else that I lost in my life. And so the point is, so I just totally shedded out the performance cars. I really just kind of downsized on the performance vehicles because I felt like I'm going to get myself in trouble. I just got to take a time out. It's just really bad. So I kind of I didn't shed all of my performance cars, but I got rid of the Raptor. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because that was my first Raptor. And so then I sat it out for about 2 years, 2019. And I guess it was maybe 2 years. I guess a little over a year. And I got the bug to get another Raptor. And sure enough, Coons Baltimore Ford had a silver, freshly used Raptor. I think it had 10,000 miles. And the guy put different wheels and tires on it. Really good looking Raptor. And even looked like he had a little lift on it, but I don't think he did. But just a really nice truck. But he smoked. He smoked in it. You can always smell that smoke. He even had carbon filters in his charcoal filters in the vents in the vehicle. I didn't even notice that till I got it, and I had it for a while. I started really cleaning it up. So that was something negative. Well, but then if you listen to my stories, June of last year, I just cut bait, thinking, forget it. The economy is not going to come back for my business. Excuse me, it's the morning time, and you drink coffee. That's one thing I talk about GERD. If you drink coffee, it so irritates your GERD, but who doesn't want to drink coffee, right? Yeah, I know. So anyways, so I sold that vehicle back. So that was number 2 Raptors. And so now here, I told you in my video of buying the Raptor that, I was on the fence of buying the 37 Raptor, and that's interesting. Somebody reached out, a guy reached out saying he's got a set of 37s, tires and wheels, that sound like they're relatively new, that he'd sell to me. And I actually responded, he never responded back. Maybe he did, but I didn't see the response. And I don't know if he wants to post information on YouTube, but I said, hey, possibly interested. How much you want out of those? You know, I mean, I would be 37s, maybe, even though I talked the other day that is it worth the 37s? Does my fuel mileage, you know, go down by a mile or 2 miles per gallon? So I kind of got mixed feelings about that. But anyways, that goes back to on like January, February of 2021, I had a deal on a Raptor 37. But here's the thing, you know, the Raptor 37 down here at Coonsville Ford, if I remember right, that truck was optioned out about 91 or 92. You know, that 37-inch wheel package, I think, jumps the price by a good $8,000, and it had a few other goodies. So it was like a $91,000 or $92,000 package. But then they wanted like $30,000 over, so it was like 120 something. Well, yeah, at the end of the day, I got them down to like 108 or 112 or so. I got it basically, or it's 12, but it was like 100 and, you know, it'd be like 110 grand if I remember right, 108 or something like that. Sales tax, blah, blah, blah. I didn't feel good about the deal. I didn't do the deal. I just kind of took a time out. And as everybody knows, you watch my videos, when I bought the F-150 Tremor truck, which I never even had planned on that truck, September of 2021, you can watch my videos, and that totally killed my desire to have a Raptor truck. It really took away my passion that I really want a Raptor truck. I mean, that's true. And that was good, because the Raptor trucks, as you know, are expensive. But then if you watch my videos, you see on how I trade out of the F-150 Tremor. I mean, if you step backwards, you go, wow, if you never bought the Lightning truck, you never would have gotten rid of the F-150 truck, because you never would have gone to that dealership when you bought the F-150 Lightning truck and saw the F-450 truck, blah, 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 blah. You know, yeah, you connect the dots, right? Connect the dots. It's just one story of one vehicle leads to another vehicle. Yeah. Car salesmen don't need to call me. I just call them, right? You're probably, yeah, car sales guys don't bug you. You just show up and buy things from them. You know, hell, how do I become your salesperson? Any YouTube sales guys out there like, wow, what's the name of your sales guy? How do I, one of the guys at, you know, Coons Baltimore Ford, you see in my video, you know, I think he's sold me at least 20 vehicles. I'd say about 20 about right now. You know, and that's just since 2018. You know, so not too shabby, right? For him. He's a good friend. It's all good. So anyway, so now you continue to talk. So now I have a third Raptor. You know, so here it is. Since 2000, I believe November 2017. Now you're going to 2022. So that's really, we're coming up on 5 years. So, you know, that's a Raptor every 1.3 months or 1.5 months. What's the equation? You know, so yeah, so here I am, my fourth Raptor. Third, duh. Uh-oh, is that dangerous? Yeah, I'll have a fourth one, like 2 GT500s. Oh my gosh, so the GT500, the 225 number is not correct. Yesterday I showed a video, so the GT500 community forum has, you know, kind of given me information. So the Heritage Edition is an open order book, meaning anybody can order one. Anybody can option out the way you want to option it. So it's not a limited run. It's not a limited 225 Heritage Edition cars that'll be built, and it's really anybody can order one. But from my understanding, I think it's only a 1 year and done run. And the next thing is, you got a lot of people out there. All right, so, you know, here's the danger. You know, this vehicle here, you know, you get on the road and you try to kind of get into it. And I'm not even in the sport mode. You know, so the sport mode takes you to the, performance. The performance mode, so you can just feel the engine kind of, you know, come to life, you know. And so the problem with that is it gets you in trouble. You know, that's the problem. Like I talk about with these electric vehicles have so much instantaneous inertia. I mean, you know, so in comparison, you know, after me driving an F-150 Lightning truck, and I push down this pedal on this thing, you know, does it go? You know, it gets going. But in comparison to an F-150 Lightning, with all that torque, instant torque, instantaneously, I mean, it's night and day. I mean, it's night and day. You know, I'm not saying this thing doesn't get up and go down the road. I'm just saying that this vehicle here, when you kind of get into it, it goes. But it's nothing like the electrification. Nothing like electrification. You know, and that's what's going to separate so many people. You know, the non-motorhead guy is just going to tell you all day long, dude, you're just living in the ice age. Yeah, you're living in the ice age. Yeah, I get it. You know, do you remember the movie Ice Age? Yeah, you're archaic. That's the message. You're driving an archaic technology. I mean, it's just beyond believable that, you know, people driving. There's a Tesla, and up in this DC area, there are Teslas everywhere. Yep, it sure is everywhere. You know, the LA, Chicago, San Francisco, New York, Miami, all the rich areas. It'll just be just the electrification will be massive in those areas. You know, so let's listen to her. You know, you don't get much of an exhaust out of this thing, even though they redesigned the exhaust. But, you know, but like the brakes, suspension, it's just awesome. It's just a really great vehicle. Now, fuel mileage, you know, if I hit that 17, if I'm in the 17 mile per gallon range, I'm going to tell you what, that's pretty impressive, because that F-150 Tremor truck, you know, I was only hoping I maybe hit 20 in that thing, but it was 17, 18 miles a gallon, 16. I mean, just, and that's why I'm really amazed that this vehicle is getting this type of mileage, because the F-150 Tremor didn't sit as high as this. F-150 Tremor isn't, I believe, as heavy as this. F-150 Tremor isn't as wide as this. F-150 doesn't have as big of tires. I mean, so you start adding up all the things that this Raptor has, you know, over the F-150 Tremor of resistance, the inertia, you know, as far as the going against, you know, the gravity of the world, you would think this would be like a 15 mile per gallon, 14 mile per gallon vehicle. And when I first got it and I saw that 13 miles a gallon, I was thinking, oh man, you know, that's really going to be disappointing, because, you know, I drive 100, 150, 200 mile days. And it gets old. I haven't filled this thing up yet. You know, this thing has a pretty good sized tank. I think this thing has like a 34 gallon, you know, tank. Yeah, this thing I'm sure has a 34 gallon tank, be my guess, just because of the range when you look at the fuel. And then this, unlike the Tremor F-150, this I believe requires premium fuel, because it's got the high output V6 twin turbo motor. Yeah, yikes. You know, it's interesting. It's so interesting. I have so many videos posted. I think about like 270 videos. And there's vehicles I don't even own anymore, but people, you know, make comments. Like the Gold Rush Dodge Challenger, a lot of people don't know I sold that. I sold that vehicle back, well, I sold it to another dealer for what I paid for it. And because my daughter had to make a choice. The Dodge Challenger or the GT50 Mustang. That's what I told her we bought that. I was like, here's the deal. If we get the GT Mustang, you're going to have to let something go. So you need to let me know. Can you part with the Challenger? And she said, yes. If she said no, then I said, then we're not selling. Then we're not buying the GT50 Mustang. I'm not doing it. You're going to have all these fancy cars. Yeah, she's exposed to fancy cars, but realistically, the 50 Mustang is her car. The F450, yeah, I know, right, that's her car. Yeah, it is, but yeah, it's a freaking work truck, but whatever. So, you know, going back to my videos, people comment that think I still own these vehicles. You know, they just don't know. Because I didn't make a video of me selling the Dodge Challenger. Even if I did make a video, would it mean that everybody watched that video and know that? I doubt it. You know, a lot of my Mopar friends in my Mopar community, they don't, you know, they get sick of watching all my videos. I don't even think they know I sold that. Then I'm really going to be the outcast, because I don't have any Mopars. They'd be like, wait a second, Yeah, but there aren't like a few other people that are doing that. So the point is, people, reach out and make comments. So this one guy yesterday was reaching out to me and going, hey, I got the Ford Ranger. I watched your tuner, air cleaner, update on your Ford Ranger you have, and blah, 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 and the exhaust, everything else. And I said, he doesn't, I told him, I was like, hey, I actually sold that, vehicle, and I got the Ford Ranger Tremor, okay? And, which this guy didn't know that. And I told him to help him, he's thinking about getting the Tremor, or he's thinking about getting the tuner on that Ranger. And what's really interesting is, the guy works for me, opened my eyes up. Until you put that Ranger truck into a sport mode, it doesn't really give it all the energy. So, I was driving around that Ranger truck with that tuner kit on it, never even utilizing the real power because I didn't put it in sport mode. But here's the thing. When I was in Florida driving my brother's, my brother's Ranger, which is still mine really, but we're still working on that deal. When you put it in sport mode, that thing was really fast. And I got thinking, wow, is that tuner really what I think it is? And then I traded that truck in for the Ranger Tremor, and I put it in the sport mode. I feel like that thing's every bit as fast as that tuner I put on it. And the reason I'm bringing this up, when you put that Ford Performance tuner on that Ranger truck, you have to buy premium fuel. You can't buy, if you put the no-let in, they have to remap it. So if you run 87 octane in that truck, I'm just reading the instructions and what the dealer's telling me. If you do that, it screws up all the mapping, and you have to remap it. So if you put in 87 octane in a Ford Ranger truck that has a tuner on it, technically you've taken away the performance side of it and has to be reprogrammed. So I was telling this guy, I said, I don't know if I'd buy that tuner. I'm not so sure that tuner is as much as you think it is. Just put the truck in sport mode. But here's the thing. Buying premium gas versus regular no-lead gas, that can be 50 cents a gallon right now, which that just adds to the bill. So for me, if I've got a Ranger right now, and as pricey as the gas has been, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it. Like right now, I wish I could put 87 octane in this thing, just because why do I want to spend $5 for fuel when I can spend $4 for fuel or whatever? All right, continuing the conversations here shortly. Yeah, so, back to the Ford Ranger, I just kind of want to sum that up. That anybody out there buys a nice Ford Ranger, the performance tuner thing, I think it's a nice Ford product. Do I think you're going to get more power of it? I do. But after owning 3 Rangers, keep in mind, 3 Rangers. I bought a Sabre Ranger back in 2019 that I factory ordered, took forever to get it. I took to Florida for my dad, which now my dad has the Maverick, which I got him, and now my brother's driving my orange Sabre, so I've driven that vehicle numerous times. And then I had a blue, that same year I decided to get a blue Ranger, and at that time I owned 2 Toyota Tacoma Pros, a 2017, a 2018. Believe it or not, my dad used to drive around in a white 2017 Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro. It was a really cool vehicle, but it just, it's for the younger guys. If you're a motorhead, you'll get all that conversation. If you know trucks and cars, my dad, we drive around a Toyota Tacoma TRD Pro versus a Ranger. The Ranger's I call it the old man's truck. So I got the blue one shortly after I bought the, I think I got the Ranger like in January or February of 2019, and I took it down to Florida like in April, I think, and then April, May, and so then I decided like in June or July that year, since I took that, I liked it so much, I decided to buy another one, for myself, and I put a performance tuner kit on it and a Ford exhaust kit on it, and I put a 1-inch, I think rough country, I think it was, or ranchero, I can't remember put a little 1-inch leveling kit on that, and I put my Jeep tires. I had Jeep tires on that where I swapped out my Jeep Gladiator. I put 37s on my Jeep Gladiator and a nice wheel kit and everything. That was a really good looking Jeep. And I took those tires that came off the Jeep and I put them on my Ford Ranger, the same wheel size, 17-inch wheel package. So that worked out really well, even though those cheap tires to me are junk. I don't like those, to me, China-made tires, wherever they are. So anyways, so I drove that truck around, and, you know, and I know the performance of it, and that was a fast truck. I mean, no doubt. With that tuner kit on it, and in sport mode, that truck is really fast. But this past year, for my birthday, I decided to get 2 Tremor trucks. Not initially. I got a F-250 Tremor Platinum that I've been trying to get for a long time. You see those videos. Then at the last second, I decided to trade my Ranger for the Ranger Tremor, even though I thought, I'm just crazy. Why am I doing this? Even though, oh my gosh, the Ranger Tremor truck is so nice. It really is. The big complaint on the Ranger truck is it's squishy. It kind of floats going down the road. So a lot of people don't like that, you know. And, you know, so for me, that was kind of the one drawback of that vehicle. Even though I put a 1-inch, you know, leveling kit on it, it didn't change the ride, you know. So anyway, so the Tremor, little Ranger Tremor, my wife actually loves that vehicle. She says when she drives that thing around, guys come up through the gas stations, they're all intrigued by that thing, and she just tells them, I don't know anything about this vehicle, you're talking to the wrong person. So, you know, going back to when I put that vehicle in performance sport mode, it just opens it up, and I really question if it's, you know, any slower than the performance kit. So anybody out there watching a video right now that's probably not fixated on this video for the Ranger, but anybody out there that knows me as a Ford Ranger is debating that, you know, I'd have to honestly say, I don't know if I'd spend the money, because you're going to spend the money for the tuner, then you're going to spend more money for gas. So I'd probably pass, really. All right, now it's the Ranger. The Raptor, you know, adventures continue, right? Well, why don't you tell us about the freaking Raptor? Well, as I mentioned, there's so many Raptor videos out there. I mean, I'm late in the game now, right? I mean, this is a 2022 Raptor, but they did the third generation, you know, redo in 2021. You know, so I'm a year late on trying to say, hey, look at me, I'm the greatest, latest, got the Raptor. But, you know, what's really interesting is these vehicles have, you know, key codes to get in them if you don't have your key with you on the side door, or if you're Ford Pass, you can use that to, you know, open the car, which is pretty cool, remotely start it. And I was going through the glove box yesterday because I'm trying to activate the Ford Pass, because the Ford Pass is still attached to the former owner, and they have to detach themselves from that. So I've done a master reset, and you know, so I still have to get this thing registered where it recognizes me as the owner, and I can do all my stuff through my Ford Pass. And so when I was looking through the compartment, I found the salesman in the dealership. So this car came from Jonestown, Pennsylvania. So whoever bought this vehicle bought this in Pennsylvania. And, you know, so that's just kind of, and then it shows the salesman's card. I could probably call the guy if I wanted to and say, I got a YouTube channel. You got to go to my YouTube channel and watch it. And I'd just be curious to say, you know what, who bought this? You know, whose was this? And then, you know, do you even know the story behind it? And do you realize the guy that you know, it's possible the guy got it for MSRP, which usually most dealers that you do a factory order, typically they honor MSRP, because, you know, it's not the heat of the moment purchase. And that's been a big argument in a lot of forums, especially the Bronco forum, where at the last minute the dealership tries to get greedy on a factory order that's a year or 2 years old, and it turns into a major blowout. And so, you know, I would have to assume that this person paid MSRP, and then they either drove it to Kuhn's Baltimore Ford and they sold it to them, and they made $5-10 grand off of it. But here's the thing, they marked this vehicle up, but they did help me, you know, and then make the deal go down. So the reality is, you know, if they paid 10 grand over, they didn't make much money off this deal for me. You know, they didn't make, I don't think they made much of any money. You know, but I don't know. They could have paid the guy 5 grand over. You know, who knows? I have no idea. They could have lucked out and got the thing for MSRP because the guy was in dire straits and just needed money. I mean, who the heck knows? You don't know the real story unless you're the person that did the deal. So, but that's pretty cool. It's a Pennsylvania car, you know. What does that mean? I don't know. What does that mean, right? Yeah. All right, going down here in not the back roads, but oh my goodness gracious. And everybody, it's crazy. Everybody, the speeds people drive, you know, and I should be one to talk, right? It's just incredible. You know, and what I'm blown away about is in Tennessee, I think people are borderline more aggressive than they are up here. And that's hard to believe. That the Tennessee folk are more, you know, road racers than they are up here in the this DC metro area. But I'm telling you, down there in DC, people, they blast. And down there in Florida, I've talked about it numerous times. Those people in Florida, they're crazy. You know, and it's a whole mixture of the demographics. For demographics in Florida are changing. You know, meaning you're so thinking Florida being such like a retirement older folk. That is so changing. The demographics of the younger generation is growing by leaps and bounds. And the danger is you do have a lot of older people down there. And yeah, do they drive around slow? Yeah. But then you have these crazies that are the younger people and want to haul tail. And you mix those two together. And what does that, you know, spell besides disaster? So here's, kids are back in school. It's hard to believe. But yeah, up here in the Northern Virginia, Maryland area, you know, kids are going back to school. And oh yeah, my daughter's first official day is going back to school, going to college. Wow. I tell you, you know, if you're a parent and you don't have like an emotional kind of moment when that happens, then I don't know. I guess you just couldn't wait to get rid of your kid, I guess, which, I mean, that goes on, sadly. But, I mean, oh, my gosh. For me, it's like, wow. You know, it's like the time. You know, my daughter went 12 years, really with kindergarten, 13 years, and even preschool, 14 years. You know, 14 years, you know, of her going away in the daytime to go to school and then come home. 14 years. You know, and I think to myself, oh my gosh, college, you know, that's just 4 years. You know, you just start thinking to yourself, you know, where's your kid by the time they get 28, 30 years old? You know, I mean, and you could say, yeah, but oh my gosh. Oh, yeah. Just incredible. And just incredible how I can remember her getting out of school June 3rd for the summer and us going on, you know, we really didn't take our vacation till really the end of June, 1st of July, but just, you know, gone. Just summer's gone. Another month from now, and the days are much shorter. The days, the light, the temperatures start to change, cooler. I mean, just, but football season's here, right? You know, it's really weird. It just seems to me that the football in general, attention isn't what it used to be. And I've been talking to a few people about that, and I could be wrong, because I just have so disconnected from the media content that'll drive you nuts. I mean, just be careful on what you watch, what you listen to. But to me, I didn't even know preseason was happening until just the other day. I had no idea they've already played like a week ago preseason football. I mean, I'm just like, wow, that's just incredible. It just seems to me like the general media, I get it if you're on the NFL network, if you're on ESPN, I get all that. But if you're not on those sports exclusive channels, it just seems like the whole football thing is like, I didn't even know. Yeah. The change is upon us, right? All right. Now, one thing that's pretty cool about this Raptor truck here is, see how it's lit up in the front? It really is neat how it has the lighting. I mean, it really is just a really nice looking truck. I really do like the truck. But you know what? I tell you what, that F-150 Tremor truck spoiled me. I mean, it spoiled me. And somebody would be like, spoiled you? What do you mean by that? That F-150 truck satisfied my needs to not want a Raptor truck. But in the end, what I end up doing was buying a Raptor truck. I mean, yeah, you know, the relationships. Could you even imagine if I was wanting to date women? Yeah. Wow. Yeah, right. I'd be broke and shot by now, right? Wait a second. I am broke buying all these damn cars. Pretty close. I haven't been shot yet, though. So, but anyway, so yeah, this F-150 Tremor truck, you know, I'm driving the Raptor now. I'm really kind of getting to work out of it. I really haven't had a lot of time behind this truck. And yeah, I was just telling Joe, the gentleman you saw go by in the video in the F-150 Lightning the other day, you know, I was just telling him, this truck is so big. I mean, this is a big truck. And I honestly feel like that F-150 Tremor had more power. I mean, to me, this doesn't feel as powerful as as my F-150 Tremor truck. Even though this has the high output, I think it's 450 horsepower. I haven't even, you know, what's crazy, I haven't even looked at the exact specs on the engine, but I know it's more than the Tremor. F-150 Tremor, I think it was like 400. So it was like the detuned, I guess you could say, Raptor motor. Maybe, maybe not. This may be a whole different engine liter size. But yeah, duh. Why don't you figure that one out too? But here's the thing. You know, this is a big truck. So it doesn't feel as free-spirited as that F-150 did. And, you know, I mean, that's, yeah. You know, so am I saying to you I'm disappointed? I'm not saying I'm disappointed, but what I am conveying is that this F-150 Raptor truck, it's a lot of truck. And yeah, go ahead and get the Raptor motor set up in it for your $130,000. You know, I mean, that Raptor truck's going to price out at like $109,000. I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure it is. And if you order it, hey, God bless you, get it from a dealer, and you know, you get sales tax on it. You know, you could be easily talking $115,000, $120,000 truck, you know. Or if you go and just buy the spur of the moment and you pay the ADM, you're going to be at $140,000, $150,000. And so, yeah, it's going to be more powerful than this, but good Lord, for that type of money, I certainly hope so. But you know, anyways, that truck, yeah, that truck's going to definitely give you more, you know, more power. But, you know, I talk about this. This is one reason I sold my F-150 Super Snake truck. You know, a few reasons kind of came to closure on that. Well, and what's funny is on Saturday they couldn't get it, but now the guy called me like 20 minutes before we got to the house, and apparently he's gotten it because I haven't heard anything else from anybody. So I'm just assuming that they picked it up and it's now gone and going to Baltimore Ford. So, but you know, but these big trucks are so big. There's so much weight. It's just a big, you know, it's a big animal. And so to think that you're going to be hot dogging these things with this big power, you're just kidding yourself. I mean, yeah, they get down the road, but it's a lot of vehicle. You know, so for me, what's kind of interesting is, you know, I'm just kind of now driving this more, and it's kind of like, man, you know, this truck, you know, don't get me wrong, it gets down the road. It's got power. But did my F-150 being, you know, a smaller platform, you know, was it proportionally just as powerful? Was it the gear ratio in that, the rear end ratio, you know, the torque? I mean, there's so some variables there that I'm really going to look into. I'm going to have to really get out my little thinking cap, and I'm going to look at the F-150, you know, what motor's in it, and the exact horsepower and torque. And, you know, here's the thing, you know, the F-150 kind of borderline broke my heart about my Godzilla F-350. What I mean by that, the Godzilla motor, you know, keep in mind, you know, talking about the big V8 Godzilla big block motor, basically had less foot-pounds of torque than a V6 twin turbo F-150 Tremor. It outpulled my F-350, you know, I should say my F-150 outpulled my F-350, you know, in the 7,000 pound, 8,000 pound range. I'd even say even 10,000 because of the way it's geared, you know. So it was more responsive, more active, and it pulled better, and it got better fuel mileage. That's why I kind of parted ways with F-350 Godzilla, because it's like, oh my gosh, this is a huge truck, but you know, it doesn't pull like I thought it pulled. I really thought it would be more powerful than a V6 twin gas engine. No, it's not. More horsepower, less torque. but not by much, if you know what I mean by that, on the horsepower. And it didn't feel, just didn't feel that great. So, anyways, once again, the F-150 Tremor truck. As time progresses and I'm exposed, now to the Raptor, you just have to start saying to yourself, I was so on par, I was so on course in September of last year, which is now coming up next month, that the F-150 bang for the buck package, if you're not doing Baja racing or radical off-road, driving, the F-150 Tremor is the better bang for the buck package. Even though the Raptor has the bigger, power, I'm just not feeling it. It's not like a radical power to me. Yeah, the Mopar guys just say, you should have bought a Ram TRX, man. I don't want a Ram TRX. It drives like a truck. This drives more like an off-road performance setup that it just soaks up the bumps and gets down the road. And, it's just a whole different ride from that Ram TRX. I drove it. Why am I arguing with myself, right? Yeah, so anyways, just wanted to share my Raptor adventures. What do we got here? So I'm around stop and go traffic today, and 17.2 miles per gallon is right now. So we're kind of down, but I was in the sport mode, and actually I took it out of the sport mode just because we're gonna, is the sport mode that much radical? I don't know. It's even kind of debatable, even on that. Hey, yeah, the constant, what I've told you in my other videos is you buy a car and there's always something about it that you'll just be like, I don't like that part of this vehicle. That's always been my challenge when I buy cars, is there's always something that just kind of annoys me or irks me, and then down the road, that's what kind of, makes the difference, where I'm like, I'll just part with it. And like that F-150 Super Snake truck, really cool truck, really neat looking truck. It hits the wall. It doesn't have, it just didn't give me that, what I'd be like, whoa, holy crow, blown away. It's really sad. And this is factual. And for anybody out there that's going for the horsepower, if you're going to buy a truck just to, be badass fast, then it's embarrassing. I watched a video of the Ram TRX race the four-door, Shelby truck lifted. So it was a four-door for a four-door with the Tuscany-built Shelby branded, customized truck. And even the guy that owned the truck was at the event that let somebody else drive his truck. You could even see the expression on his face on how his Shelby truck got smoked by the Ram TRX. I mean, smoked. I mean, I'm not lying. And, I know for a fact that guy probably paid for that Shelby truck, I'd say $100 grand, $1.25. It just depends. And to have a Ram TRX just blow you away, I mean, oh my gosh. Because a Ram TRX truck is more like $80,000. And then it even shows the Ram TRX truck was pretty impressive. It ran the two-door Super Snake like mine, and I'm going to tell you, the two-door barely beat it. The two-door barely beat that truck. So that was kind of disappointing. That was kind of an eye-opener, like, wow, the Tuscany division has taken the 5.0 Coyote motor, and they've put a supercharger on it, a Whipple supercharger on it, and they've claimed 770 horsepower. And here's the Ram TRX Hellcat motor. I think it's like 710. I think that's what the power is on the Ram TRX. And it's blown away the four-door. I mean, come on. That's pretty pathetic, you ask me. So, it's so unfortunate. There's no doubt in my mind, if there was a Ram TRX two-door, or I should say a Ram two-door Hellcat truck, like the old Viper SRT 10 truck that I used to own. I had a bunch of those. If they had a Ram SRT two-door lowered Hellcat option truck, I would own one of those in a heartbeat. I would have one of those, And why didn't Dodge do that? That makes no sense to me why Dodge, only focused on the four-door lifted version of the truck. Yeah, oh my gosh. Yeah, the Raptor conversations, right? And so now, we're gonna be out there, so now you have to say, guys that buy the Raptor, I mean, I already know of some people who bought Raptors, and they kind of have felt like it didn't give them that oomph that they wanted, and they sold them. I mean, that is true. If you're buying this Raptor truck to think you're gonna go lay rubber and be burning up the town, you're misinformed of what's going on. It's the misinformation. Yeah, you have to buy the Predator setup, the Raptor R, but I've said this many times. I actually, the selling dealer, Coons Baltimore Ford, I called them to see if I could even order one, just to put an order in, just to have an option. Yeah, crazy, right? And they're like, nope, you can't even get it. You can't even order it. We're going to order it. So they're going to hold the orders. Their goal is they're going to hold the orders for themselves. Then that's the $150,000. Yeah, famous last words. Amy watched me on the channel like, oh yeah, now we know where that other GT500's going. Uh-oh. Yeah, now we know where this Ford Raptor you're driving right now. Yeah, now we know where this is all playing out. You're gonna end up taking this and trade. It'd be 2 for 1, right? I don't know. I mean, with me, you never know. I mean, I'm not going to deny. Is that possible? Yeah. You see, I'm already talking myself into sale. Why is the sales I need to call me, right? I'm already talking myself into the future of what maybe could play out. Like my wife said, you get rid of all these cars, you're just planning for something else down the road. Oh, so I called my selling dealer on my Mach-E. Yeah, so I call my selling dealer on the Mach-E that I'm putting a ton of miles on it. And I mean, no lie. So the Ford Mustang Mach-E Grabber Blue has 10,000 miles on it. The rate it's going, that car, in my business, the miles we drive every day, between me and another guy drive, and conservative 300-mile days. Conservative. Some days 400 plus. Okay? So you start riding around these cars, and that's an interesting point for me as a person. That was one of my challenges in life, is my career, kind of got going in sales, where, you have one to think about. I'm going to put the exhaust on. Let's do here. I just changed over to the sport mode, and it's kind of weird. In this vehicle here, it doesn't jump out at you. So, I mean, other vehicles, when you go from normal, it's like, here's normal, okay? So here's normal mode, all right? So when you're driving down the road and you switch over to sport, it gives you can feel the engine open up. But I've talked about this in many of my videos, how even I wasn't abreast that when you're driving around in your car, you're not really getting all the performance out of it until you go to the sport mode. So what I've noticed is when I'm in the normal mode like this right here, and I go to the sport mode, I didn't feel like that. I mean, it's got more power, but my other cars gave you that a little bit more of a feel where you felt the car just kind of get more power. Here's my exhaust. So let's go to it isn't sport. Oh, okay, duh. I went to sport mode, so it's in sport. So that's kind of weird. But anyway, True Beginnings was, sales, outdoor sales. Well, really, True Beginnings was driving around tanker trucks and making fuel deliveries. And then eventually I evolved into doing, sales and outdoor sales, and that's kind of been my career. I've been an outside salesman my whole life for myself and business and for others I've worked for. So the challenge always been I'd get a nice car and I'd put like 300 miles on it one day, and so like I would buy a brand new, really nice car, and like all of a sudden in a month's time it had like 3,000 miles on it. And I'd be like, oh man, I don't want that. So I'd end up blowing and buying another car to take the miles off my favorite car. So I kind of get more of not a real fancy car. I just get a real basic car or a used car or whatever. So I could kind of rotate the miles, where I'd work on my car one day and a different car another day. And that kind of just stuck with me, which is dangerous from that point on, because I never wanted to just put a gazillion miles on one vehicle overnight. Because for me, I could put 50, 60,000 miles on a vehicle very easily, in 1 year. And you know as well as I do, you put 50,000 miles on a car in 1 year, you're not getting rid of that car. You're going to have to pay somebody to take it. the values just go through, just the values just tank. I mean, can you blame anybody? You're going to pay a guy good money for a car a year old with 50,000 miles on it. So the point is, my Ford Mach-E GT, right out of the gate, I started driving that thing. Well, this past summer, I've been gone most of the summer, and my other guy that works for me, he's driving it now. Well, that car has 10,000 miles on it. That car's going to have 15,000 miles on it within the next 45 days. That's how fast we accumulate miles in these vehicles. So I called my selling dealer down there, Cream Sterling Ford, to get a number on that vehicle. And, the first thing he said to me is like, well, you got a lot of miles on that car. And I'm like, yeah, we work out of it. So the number is okay, nothing great. And then he said, really, the reality is you should be calling me with the California Edition Mach-E, which I really wanted one of those. I really like the look of the Ford Mustang Mach-E California Edition, the theme, the interior. And the other thing is, those are 300-mile range, cars. The Mach-E GT Performance Pack with the bigger tires and wheels, that takes away your range. So that's more like a 230 to 250 mile vehicle. Well, people would rather get the 300-mile range car because, it's all about the distance. So that's actually the better vehicle to purchase from Ford is the Mach-E California Edition, which that's kind of, good information. The Mach-E GT, it's more the performance-oriented people, but it's a price point too, where people, the California Editions can start of 10 grand. I'd say, I would say 5 grand, 7 grand less than the Mach-E GT Performance Package. That's probably my guess. So anyway, I was kind of running some scenarios by the guy who works for me. Do we cash out of the Mach-E GT right now while we wait for the Ford F-150 Lightning? Which this morning I had a conversation about this with him, and he's kind of pretty much there on the same page I'm on. He's like, yeah, the F-150 Lightning truck, it's nice, but to be working out of it, what we do and everything, it's a lot of truck. It's a lot of vehicle. And it just isn't going to be, it's just going to be maneuverable. It's just not as easy to work out of. So, I don't know. So I said to him, maybe he wants a Rivian. But I mean, he's not going to buy a Rivian because it's too damn expensive. And he doesn't make that type of money. But for me, do I go out and do I get a Rivian? Do I go out and purchase a Rivian? Because there's no doubt in my mind, if I got one of those for the right price, that would probably be a better vehicle for him overall, and he would probably want to buy that. And funny enough, early this morning, I got on cars.com, and I started looking around at the Rivian models, and believe it or not, 100-mile radius, I was actually surprised. There was like 10 of them for sale, and what's interesting is, of the 10 for sale, at least 5 or 6 of them had price drops. One had a $10,000 price drop. So basically, what's going on? People bought Rivians, they've driven them for a few hundred miles, or one guy has one for sale, 4,000 or 5,000 miles on it, and they're wanting like $120, $130, $140 for these things. Some $110, $111, but these are $90,000. These are $80,000 to $90,000 vehicles where they're all trying to get their $30,000, $40,000 cash out on it or more. But I think times are changing. I think the big ticket items are changing. And I preached this over a year ago. I think the third quarter of this year would start to show that we really are going a different direction as a country. And I think fourth quarter is going to be like, oh yeah, it's definitely happening. It's not going to be good. Not wishing harm on anybody, but I think that's where it's going. So here's the thing. Keep on sitting it out. Does the $90,000 Rivian pop up for $100 grand? And for me, it's possible. Would that be something I'd entertain? Possibly. The speculation is, does Rivian stay around? Just like Lucid, these guys that start up these electric car companies, it's so much R&D, and it's so much back-end money. And Ford actually invested into Rivian, and it was really kind of a proactive, partner. And at the last minute, they just pulled out. They pulled out, and they just kind of walked away from them, which, you got to think, why did they do that? What was Ford trying to accomplish out of that? I guess they felt like Rivian's would end up, sticking it to them because they're making some really nice vehicles that eats into their market. But if Ford has ownership in that company, I don't know. It's too. I'm sure it's. I bet you it's a what you said I said type of thing pisses somebody off. Who knows? But anyways, point is the Rivians are starting to kind of populate, and you can order one and get one. So that's not a bad idea either. I'm just more the Ford guy. I have relationships with Ford, and that's just kind of why I'm sticking with Ford. I don't have a relationship with Rivian, and who's Rivian? Is Rivian around a year from now? I have no idea. I would think they are, but here's the challenge. As Chevrolet brings their electric vehicle truck to the market, Ram brings their electric truck to the market, the next 2-3 years, there's, the bigger players are going to start bringing these electric trucks to the market. But that Rivian isn't so much a truck. It's more of an adventure vehicle. So it's kind of more of a mixture of the SUV, pickup truck, so that's just kind of a, well, anyway. So, yeah, the Raptor conversations, it's all over the place, is it? Hope everybody's enjoying the conversation and, learning some things, getting some information. That's what it's all about, just about information and learning, right? Yeah, how do you compare, how do you've been jumping out of cars like I do all the time. How do you, you drive around TT500 and then you get in a Raptor and you think you're going to be kind of like, that isn't the message. But, I just kind of got into it right now. First time I've really kind of given her some gas. Here's the thing. I have not been buying gas per se, kind of work around my own hometown, just on the road. So today, how much do I love this truck? When I go to Costco this afternoon, I roll up to fill this thing up. Yeah, how much do I love it? But in all sincereness, I will not be working on this truck all the time. I just want to get my fun factor out of it. That's what I do. I buy something, I'll ride around, and I get on my fun factor. But then, the reality is I'll be driving around the Mach-E GT, which the space white one for sure. The Ranger truck that I have, that'll be practical. My Ford Bronco. I set that thing all up with a nice toolbox in it and everything to work out of. And that was kind of disappointing to a degree. When I got my Mach-E GT, it was so like a no-brainer to ride around that thing and not have to buy gas. Here I'm the guy pitching. What's the big deal about gas, right? Yeah, I get all that. So, here I'm, but, so I did a disservice to my Bronco. I kind of quit driving my Bronco because that's a thing about this. This thing here, if I can stay in the 17 mile per gallon, range, and my Bronco's getting 18, that's realistic. It's 18, 17, 18. So, it's pretty incredible to think that where we are technology, how, the 27, 30 mile per gallon vehicle, without it being a little, a smaller vehicle, and it just isn't, it just isn't there. It's just, you think about it, you kind of think by 2020, they would have figured out, it's the hybrid thing. We all know if this had a hybrid setup, this truck would probably get 22, 25 miles a gallon. My Bronco, hybrid setup, probably 22, 25, maybe 28 or 30. There's a lot of variables there, but it's kind of interesting how, as far as we've come with technology, but yet the gas mileage, we were riding around in 15 mile per gallon vehicles 20, 30 years ago. Now these trucks, if you went back, if we go back like the 90s, here's the irony. In the 90s, I was riding around in the Ram diesel trucks all day long, and those damn things were in the 22, 23, 24, sometimes up to 28 in the highway. Think about that. Yeah, they didn't have all the smog emission stuff on them, so were they polluting the world? Yeah. But the whole point is, we've kind of been stuck at this, between 10 and 20 mile per gallon fuel economy, for how many years? Yeah, a lot of years. So you would think we've been more stuck now in the between 20 and 30 mile per gallon vehicle. Yeah, right? The conversations continue now. You buy things, you sell things. And I know if you're like me, you sometimes think to yourself, you kind of second guess yourself. You think, did I make the right decision? Like for me right now, keep in mind that F-150 Lightning truck was a nice package, a great vehicle. And, and for me, should I let that go? Part of me's like, nope. But yet then there's another part of me like, well, it's I'm having another one coming in, and it'll all work out, and for the most part it'll be fine at the end of the day. That's just kind of who I am, my constant changing around vehicles. But that F-150 Lightning truck, even one of the guys that works at the Coons Ford Baltimore, he has the Platinum Edition F-150 Lightning. I mentioned this other day, his came in the same time mine came in. And and the downside to that Lightning is that battery pack is so big and so noticeable that truck rolls. The truck go through a corner, the truck floats through the corner. It rolls. It needs like a sport suspension. It needs a better underpinnings. That thing is just so heavy. So you get that out of that truck. You do get that. It drives like a truck. In all reality, that drives like a regular old good old truck that you used to drive down the road in. And the thing would kind of be wouldn't really be real tight, and you just knew it was a big old truck. So in that aspect, yeah, I don't miss that. Another aspect, the driving around not buying gas, yeah, I mean that's that's a huge thing, and that's the agenda that's going on more than ever in our country, is trying to get people to get out of the ICE cars because of the energy prices, which is a whole narrative behind that of all you have expensive fuel and energy, but whatever. I'm not going to go all down that, but just kind of going back, this is now my official first day of really being on my own, working on the Raptor. How do I feel about it? What's going on? And you know what? It's a great truck. I mean, the Raptor's a fun vehicle. It's a lot of vehicle. It's the old, hey, I got a truck. That's what trucks are all about. It's about the guy. Hey, and for the gals too, say, look at me, I got a big truck. Wow. You have a footprint presence on the road driving your truck. Somebody's not gonna run you over like when you're in your little Miata. I mean, I'm sure that anybody's had small cars, you get a big old guy in a vehicle come up on you and about run you over. Yeah, well, when you're in a big truck, it's not as easy for them to accomplish that. It's about the mass. Is bigger better? Yeah, right. So yeah, I'm sure some watch my channel will be like, wow, you gave up that F-150 Lightning. I did, and a week ago at this time, I did a video of being reunited with my F-150 Lightning truck, and yeah, that's a pretty good video to watch. And overall, I was content with the vehicle, but the danger is, I know when I see something, I want something, and you have to start thinking to yourself, well, if you want that, you're going to have to give something else help. That's a challenge in life. We all know you have to make a sacrifice. I mean, most people in life, if they want to do something or make something happen, usually what goes in with that, it's the cause and effect in life. You have to sacrifice something. And that's what I've done. I've had a lot of nice cars in my lifetime, and I have sacrificed them, to be able to get a different ride. And sometimes, sure, some people around me or even myself, like, wow, I can't believe I gave that vehicle up. I mean, that's happened. The GT500 sitting in my garage, you'll see that video of me buying that back, where I really felt like, wow, I shouldn't let that go, so but anyways, just kind of sharing my own feelings and what I'm thinking right now, having the Raptor, and, it's a great vehicle. It's a fun vehicle. And the F-150 Tremor for everybody, oh my gosh. I mean, I'm telling you, F-150 Tremor, I just can't emphasize enough. It's a great package. It's a great value. For the people that have an open checkbook, yeah, Raptor, no doubt, Raptor. It's like anything. Got an open checkbook, Mach 1 or GT500. Dodge Hellcat Red Eye or a Dodge Challenger with the 6.4 motor in it, 392. The list goes on and on and on. So now here we come into some in this truck, and then we'll see how she kind of gets up the road. What happens in this truck is it just really eats up the bumps. It just gives you a really solid you know, confident feel when you drive this truck. It doesn't, you know, it doesn't have, like right now, I feel like the truck is leaning, swaying into that corner, you know, and then you kind of get into it. And that's the danger of this truck that got myself into trouble years ago, is once this thing kind of opens up, you know, she just really gets down the road. There you go. Got a little bit of that. Got a little exhaust there. Yeah, not too shabby. Now, everybody's this is kind of interesting. Everybody's stuck in these two lanes when somebody could break out. And this is an area here where the good old police like to hang out, nab your butt. Oh boy, we're here at Costco and it's $4.09 premium. Yikes! To be spoiled by driving a electric vehicle. Oh my goodness, yeah. How much do I love this thing when I put 30 gallons and it cost me 120 bucks, right? Yeah, you hypocrite. Traitor. Yeah, brutal, right? Yikes. Yeah, I'm used to going home and plugging my electric truck in and paying, 22 bucks. Yeah, but in all reality, so this truck has a 500-mile range, I think, like 450, 500. The lightning extended range would be about 320. So, you know, I'm not really comparing apples to apples, but yeah, we all know it's gonna be a lot cheaper to plug in the electric truck than fill this thing up. Yikes. But at the same time, you know, 400, if this thing has a 450-mile range, then I would definitely get a good, maybe, yeah, about 3 days of driving out of it. 2 days, 3 days. I'd say 3 days. So that'd be like 30 bucks, 40 bucks a day, you know. So people kind of forget that. When you fill up the truck, it's not like you're going to burn all up right this second. If you know what I mean. So it is Costco Monday, which I'm kind of surprised. It's pretty busy. Usually Tuesdays are kind of slower days. All right, you know what? I need to read the manual. This thing may run on 87. I doubt it. If you want to bet, it's a high output motor. They want 93 octane, so there we go. What do you think? Ivy, you want to bet it's gonna be 120 bucks? That's my guess. Yeehaw! Still going. Wow. And it cuts off at 100 bucks. What's that all? Yeah, we know that story. All right, well, you know, it makes no sense to me. The card issuers, you know, you got gas that's at least 30-40% more. Oh, so look at that. So it would have been about 110 bucks. Like going over to 87 just to mix it up. So this thing took like 26 gallons. Not as big a tank I thought, or maybe it is. Hey, how about that? A Ram TRX pulled up right behind me. What type of gas mileage is the Ram guys getting? I wonder what they get. So I just put in basically 27 gallons. So it wasn't, I thought I'd definitely get like 30 gallons. So not too shabby. I gotta get this behemoth in here. I don't know if it's even worth it. You know, these trucks are so big. That is it worth it? I don't think it is today. I don't know. I was going to go in and get something, wasn't I? And probably should. I'll just go to Target. I think I'll go to Target. I like that idea better, actually. But anyway, so yeah, not too shabby. You know, what's my fuel mileage? Oh, so look here. So that's kind of encouraging. So that's pretty impressive. 581 miles. You see that? Without me running into people. 581 miles. That's pretty impressive. So, you know, basically now I have like a 600-mile range. And so, yeah, think about that. So if I just spent 110 bucks and I went 600 miles, 580 miles, yeah, that's not too shabby, right? Right. So I'm wondering what the real number is for the Ram TRX. My guess is it's 12 miles a gallon. My guess is you're 5 miles per gallon less than me and my Raptor. You know, which that adds up. And that's the big thing. When you fill up these cars, so it's pretty encouraging here is, I just showed you, we're going to 581 mile range. Now, if this thing showed like a 300 mile range after I just spent 100 bucks, ooh. You know, it's when you go back, you know, the thing about buying gas is, one thing you buy $100 of fuel and you don't go back for 3-4 days. You buy $100 worth of fuel and you're going back again tomorrow, the next day. That's when you're like, it's the worst. All right, got to run to Target and get some goodies and wrap up this video on the Raptor 3 day. Is that what I called it? Raptor 3?